Good evening, everyone. I'm Donald Capolino. I'm here to conduct the public hearing in the matter of the application of Mirbeau of Beacon LLC for financial assistance from the Dutchess County Industrial Development Agency. Before this hearing began, I marked as hearing officers exhibit number 1 in evidence a notice of public hearing in this matter, indicating that this public hearing would be held today, April 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. It is now 6:05. We've been here since before 6 o'clock. At the municipal...
I'm just going to point this at you so that they can hear you in the right.
Okay, I'm sorry. At Municipal Courtroom, 1 Municipal Plaza, Beacon, New York. That's where we're located right now. I had marked as hearing officers exhibit number 2 in evidence the affidavit of Linda Trutt from the Poughkeepsie Journal, indicating that this notice of public hearing was published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on March 27, 2023. I had marked as hearing officers exhibit number 3 in evidence the affidavit of Jenna L. Jones, indicating that on March 27, 2023, a copy of this notice of public hearing and the preliminary resolution was sent by certified mail to the Honorable Lee Kiriakou, Mayor of the City of Beacon, on Dr. Matthew Landau, the Superintendent of Schools of the Beacon City School District, upon Ms. Meredith Hauer, President of the Board of the Beacon City School District, and upon the Honorable William F. X. O'Neill, the Dutchess County Executive. I had marked as hearing officers exhibit number 4 in evidence the March 27, 2023 letter of Timothy Dean, Chairman of the Dutchess County Industrial Development Agency, appointing me the hearing officer to conduct this public hearing. So before we begin with members of the public being asked to make any comments they wish, I believe Mr. Kellogg wants to make a preliminary statement on behalf of the applicant, Mirbeau of Beacon LLC.
Mr. Capolino, hi, I'm Ed Kellogg. I'm a partner with Mirbeau of Beacon, and we are the developer of the new project in Beacon on 9D. This is going to be Mirbeau Inn and Spa. It's 85 guest rooms, 20 spa treatment rooms. We have several guest amenities. There's dining, there's a complete restaurant. And we're redeveloping the Howland Estate, which is a historic estate on 9D that was originally built by General Howland, Civil War general. We're totally going to restore the mansion and build a new hotel wing and a new dining wing. We've requested from the IDA approval for a 15-year accelerated or deviated abatement program where taxes will, the assessment will be based upon, is totally up to the city assessor, and the abatement will decline from 50% to 5% over a 15-year span. We submitted a preliminary estimate with a rising assessment from today of $3 million up to $25 million a few years after we're open. We've also requested the sales tax abatement. For employment, there's going to be 240 construction jobs, 80 to 140 full-time equivalent positions, but it'll actually be over 175 employees that we'll have on site. Hourly employees, it'll total $35,000 to $50,000 a year, and salaried employees, which is managers and supervisors, executive team, will range from $55,000 to $115,000. So the public benefits are significant revenue to the city and the school district over what it's producing right now. We've also entered into an agreement with the school district for setting up a community fund for $30,000 a year over 15 years. We've also are giving permission to the Greenway Trail Committee to have a spur of their trail on the east side of Fishkill Creek. Right now, they have all their plans in place for the west side with easements in place, and we're going to allow them to extend that once they rebuild the South Avenue Bridge. Roughly, our construction will start, hopefully this June and open up late spring of 2025. Just a quick. Oh yes, and also I failed to include the mortgage recording tax as one of the benefits we're requesting as well. I'll try to. It's just hard to see where I'm going. Yeah, so just some, we're here? Yeah, just a few, I won't present all of the slides, but this is the site, the light peachy building at the bottom of the screen is the existing Tyranda mansion, and to the left of it is the former Craig House Hospital along 9D, which we're tearing down and building a new chateau. This is a historical photograph, probably from the 60s. This is the rear porch, the condition it's in right now. And that's the back, again, what the rear porch looks like now. This building's been vacant for 20 years. It's in surprisingly good, stable condition. So those are some of the historical photographs. This is the overall site. Down in the bottom, the middle of that site plan is where our development first phase is going to occur. The peachy building is the mansion. The yellow building is the new chateau. We'll have about 225 parking spaces on site, and we'll go from the new Mirbeau Lane, which used to be Craig House Lane, will go from Route 9D and traverse through the site, then go all the way down to Grandview. But the primary access and the main entrance is right here on 9D. The property goes all the way to Grandview, down South Avenue. There's actually 2 ponds on the property. There's the historic Tyranda School, which General Howland built for the community, I think in 1870. And this is the Fishkill Creek. So the walking trails with the Greenway Trail will actually go right along and follow the City of Beacon sewer easement, which they have on our property now. That's the master plan event. There's 65 acres, so eventually there'll be some more improvements besides the initial phase. And this is just a close-up of the master plan. So we have these Monet gardens and ponds. We have a few rental cottages. Everything on the site is rental. There's no condos, no ownership. Just some quick renderings. So we're kind of picking up on a lot of the details of the mansion here on the right. That's from 1859. The red brick was designed by an architect, Hunt, in 1873. And then to the left is the northern face of our new chateau building. The bottom elevation is what you'll see if you're in the interior of the site looking back at the mansion. This area is the dining wing, and over to the right is the south end of the chateau, which is there's 60 plus guest rooms there. And then there's a connector bridge that's open air on the upper level and closed on the lower level. It's kind of like the reverse of what they have right now. And then our spa is in the lowest level of the chateau building. There's also some guest rooms in here called grotto rooms that'll be kind of underground. And this is another elevation along 9D at the top. And that's that's pretty much the plan. We're in the middle of our interior design right now, and you know, so we've still got quite a bit of work to do over the next couple of months for design.
Okay, very good. Does anyone from the public like to make any comment? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. It's Clark Gebman, 2 Wilson Street in Beacon. First of all, let me say, for Beacon to join the ranks of Skinny Atlas in Plymouth Rock and Rhinebeck, its sister city, is a remarkable achievement for the people of Beacon. I have some very serious concerns, however, and they're really process related in the failure for 100% factual representation as to the financial aspects of the proposed. First of all, there's great ambiguity in terms of the lot. Is it subdivided? The city planning board has filed a plan that says it is subdivided. And if it is subdivided, it by law would have a separate lot number and should not be viewed as part of the 64 acres that's been written into the legal documents or the proposed documents. So I think that there is a minor problem, but I think it goes to another step. Because it is a separate lot, there's nothing to prevent a future owner of that particular lot, should it be disposed of being the beneficiary of perhaps some development rights and perhaps some tax advantages that may have accrued over 10 years, let's say. So I think it's incumbent upon your entity to clarify in terms of the use, the size, and the financial obligations of any holder of the second lot. The additional problem I have is the lack of clarity as it relates to the pilot. As a former licensed commercial appraiser in the state, I take note that the documents that's presented, at least to myself, upon request, has the financials blacked out and gives the patina of perhaps it's a privileged information for the applicant, to which I disagree. As a matter of law, it would be perfectly responsible for the agency to accept and promote a document that reflects, for instance, the purchase price. And it does not. The one that was provided to me. Perhaps I have a bad copy, and I would concede that if that's the case, that's an error that should be reversible at another hearing. But the sinister part is here you have a development proposal of construction cost of $47 million, a total project cost of $73 million, and the public being told that the assessed value is estimated to be, well, currently $3 million, who knows what the purchase price was. But the public is being told that there is an opinion that the assessment is $25 million and that it's proper. This is a full assessment community, not that it occurs, not that there isn't serious problems in this community regarding assessment as well as this statewide, but to be a participant, this agency, your group, your entity, to be a participant in that process that potentially costs the city of Beacon taxpayers due money from a document that there are laws that discourage this kind of document being presented to the public in terms of accuracy. And so I think it's really, and don't get me wrong, in many ways you're being brought in by the city's own inadequacies to address these issues in a more thorough and appropriate manner. which is nothing new to this podium and this city for some time. But to participate, be drawn in, is needlessly obstructive to the goals of the agency in your good work. The public needs your agency. The county needs your agency. But we need the agency to be pure on the subject of these pilots, and that the ambiguities should not find its place here at this time, in this location, and in this city. And for those reasons, I would ask for an extension of the public hearing and the clarity being brought forth between your group and the city as to the meaningful forecast as to the pilot and what the economic benefits and disadvantages are to the city. And finally, in reading the document and reading the dozens upon dozens, if not majority of employees being part-time, it's of very little use to say that the employees will have, in the aggregate, health benefits and other kinds of benefits that would accrue to and necessary in today's wage-earning situation. The construction doesn't appear to be labor construction, organized labor construction. And I think that the city has missed the point that while perhaps this is customary in government construction, it doesn't necessarily apply to private. And do we want it? Well, that's a matter for the council that hasn't been addressed. But to opine the richness of the benefit to the city of Beacon with employment and taxes, I think it's a shallow statement. And don't get me wrong, I think your work is good. I think there should be more of it. I think you should be encouraged and appreciated and not brought before, someone who's mouthing off like myself. I'm certainly not trying to embarrass you, sir. But I think that the greater the clarity for the public, the greater the opportunity for the public to embrace more and more meaningful wages collected. And then finally, I don't have a sense that there's a room tax in Beacon. I have every sense that the greatest, and this is I've maintained since I came up after 9/11. I've been a resident since. They don't put airports anywhere with 2-mile runways. We have suffered in the valley from not only brain drain, being the only 2 million person region in the state of New York without a public university. And this little recent move by SUNY to call Newburgh a New Paltz a university or Oswego, whatever, is really just subterfuge to the reality of the 4 great public universities in SUNY, Buffalo being the biggest. They generate $1 billion or more a year in local spending just from government National Science Foundation type grants. The large universities of the public universities of this nation dwarf what SUNY has. And yet this area, this 2 million person area, is the only region in the state without a public university and with a 2-mile runway, without a lot of brainware to figure out how the region captures the politics of construction and promotion of the region as a meaningful alternative to the region and the upstate New York's growth. We are the gateway to upstate New York, and we are the gateway to upstate New York to New York City. As these European airlines seek to benefit as we clear the hurdles of redoing the airports in the city, and as the state and the city is able to bargain for billions and billions of capital investment in these terminals, and to some extent transportation, as we complete this cycle, long-standing, nearly complete largely, we must now focus on what high-speed rail to the airport. And I recall the 1994 David Patterson report from the Senate. It had choices. Among the choices were Beacon or Tarrytown mass transit across the river. And we know what happened. But here we have the center of the United States economic hegemony, with the first president of the Fed born here in Beacon, with one of the 5 governors of the Federal Reserve System when it was born across the river in the name of Delano, the second city in America with electrification that doesn't have access to New York City by mass transit. And so we have the dilemma. What is the meaning of hotels in Beacon? What is the opportunity for the generation of wealth and capital investment that can be had sooner than decades later? What is the role of hotel properties? What is the role of your organization's relationship with the European airlines to come here and to benefit by intermediate transportation to hotels in Beacon? This is, I have postulated, and this is not the first time I've had this little discussion, and I have postulated for over 20 years now that the New York City politicians in the Bronx and in Harlem never were going to go for the gateway crossover to Stewart Airport. In simple reason. They weren't going to go from 179th Street to 34th Street to go to Stewart. And the Albany politicians who come downstate, okay, weren't going to go down to some other place down in the city to cross over to get to Stewart. Beacon, the tea leaves speak. And while generation after generation of delay and confusion and everything else may occur, it is destined that in some manner, at some point, here, a mile south, 3 miles north, whatever the case may be, someday we will find the opportunity to cross over to Stewart and have some kind of higher speed rail to the city. Although, with one line on the West Side Yards coming north, we can't be so certain that it will be efficient with the Manhattan transportation plans. And we are silent as if it wasn't an opportunity. So now we return finally and thank you for your patience to conclude. When we talk about hotel development Beacon, we need to understand whether or not there'll be a hotel tax. We need to understand that the hotels that are moving in, the rentals, are not predatory to the economic interest of the people of Beacon. And I think you can do a better job of convincing the citizens of Beacon by adjourning, clarifying, and discussing this matter with the City of Beacon Fathers so that we can all embrace this wonderful project together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else like to speak? No? Well, I do say that the evaluation of the project will be taken care of by the assessor of the city of Beacon, so those matters will be addressed at that time. The board will be given a copy of this, of the transcript of this public hearing. In addition, I believe that there were two emailed letters of opposition that we received from residents of the town of Poughkeepsie to this project, but there's no one else that wants to speak unless you want something to add at this point, Mr. Kellogg.
No, I think we're all set. Thanks very much for your time.
Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing. Thank you very much.